The sun always rose slow over the dusty spaceport town of Varela. Every morning at exactly 6:45 am, the same girl would walk into Benny's diner. She was small, skinny, and quiet. Her skin was dark, her clothes old and a little too big for her body. She never spoke unless someone spoke to her first. Even then, her voice was soft like wind through broken glass. She never ordered much, just one pancake, no toppings, no drink. She would sit in the corner booth, always the same one, with her back to the window. She'd eat slowly, carefully, as if she was trying to make the meal last. Clara, the waitress, had worked at Benny's diner for almost 10 years. She had seen all kinds of people come and go: travelers, traders, space pilots, even bounty hunters. But this girl was different. Clara had noticed her the first week she showed up. She didn't look like the other kids who lived around here. She was too clean, too silent, and her eyes held something older, like she'd seen more than a child should ever see. The girl didn't carry a bag. She never used a phone. She paid with old-fashioned credits, real metal ones, not the digital kind everyone else used. At first, Clara thought she might be homeless, but her hair was always neat. Her boots were worn but polished. She was careful, always looking over her shoulder. Clara started adding little extras to her plate: a piece of fruit, an egg, sometimes toast. She never said anything, just set the plate down like it was normal. One morning, the girl looked up and whispered, "Thank you." That was the first time she'd said anything to Clara. From that day on, Clara kept watching her more closely. There was something haunting about the girl. She never smiled. She never laughed. But her eyes, they were wide and deep, like they carried stories from another world. One rainy morning, the girl came in soaking wet. Clara gave her a towel and warm tea before even taking her order. "You shouldn't be out alone in weather like this," Clara said softly. The girl didn't answer. She just nodded and sat in her usual booth. That's when Clara noticed something strange. Before entering the diner, the girl had stood outside for a full minute, scanning the street. Her eyes moved left, then right, then up at the sky. It wasn't normal. She was checking for something or someone. Clara tried to ignore it, but her heart started beating faster. Was this girl in danger? That same morning, as the girl was about to leave, she dropped something. It rolled under the table, hitting Clara's foot. It was a coin, but not like any coin Clara had ever seen. It was round and metallic, but it shimmered slightly, like liquid. It had no face or number, just strange symbols carved into it. And when Clara bent down to pick it up, the coin didn't fall into her hand. It floated, right there in the air. Clara gasped quietly. The girl saw her staring. Her eyes widened in fear, and she rushed over, snatching the coin before anyone else could see. "Don't tell," she whispered, voice trembling. "Please." Clara was speechless. She had seen tech before, even black market stuff, but nothing like that. That coin wasn't from this town. It wasn't even from this planet. "Where did you get that?" Clara asked, keeping her voice low. The girl didn't answer. She backed away slowly and ran out the door. Clara stood there frozen, holding the damp towel in her hand, staring at the door that was still swinging from the girl's quick exit. Who was this child? Why was she hiding? And what kind of coin floated in midair? Later that night, as Clara cleaned up the diner, she looked at the corner booth. The pancake plate was still there, half eaten, but next to it was a tiny speck of light, glowing faintly. It looked like dust, but when she touched it, it moved up her finger like it was alive. Something was very wrong, and Clara knew, deep in her bones, that this girl was not just some lost kid from a broken town. She was something much bigger, and someone was coming to find her. The next morning, Clara got to the diner early. She cleaned the tables twice. She refilled the sugar jars. She kept looking out the window waiting. 6:45 am came, but the girl didn't. Clara waited until 7 o'clock, still no sign. She felt a strange worry in her chest. She didn't even know the girl's name, but somehow she cared more about her than most of the people in town. Then at 7:12, a man walked in. He didn't belong there. He wore a black suit that didn't have a speck of dust on it, not in this dirty town. His boots shined like they had never touched ground. He wore black gloves and had a metal pin on his jacket, shaped like a triangle inside a circle. His eyes scanned the diner slowly. Cold eyes, like machines. Clara froze behind the counter. "Coffee?" she asked, forcing a smile. The man sat at the booth where the girl always sat. "I'm looking for someone," he said. His voice was smooth but sharp, like a knife wrapped in silk. Clara blinked. "Sorry." "A young girl, small, quiet, comes in here often, about this tall." He held up a hand. Clara felt her stomach twist. She tried to act normal. "We get a lot of people," she said. "I don't remember everyone." The man smiled, but it wasn't a real smile. It didn't reach his eyes. He pulled out a small device, a round scanner with a glowing blue center. He tapped it, and a 3D image floated above it, the girl. Clara's hands shook slightly. She tried not to show it. "Her name is classified," the man said, "but she's dangerous." Clara's eyes widened. "She's just a child." The man leaned forward. "She's not what you think." He stood up, left a credit stick on the table, and walked out. Clara rushed to the window and watched him get into a black hover car. It sped off without a sound. Her heart pounded. Not what you think. Dangerous. The girl didn't seem dangerous. She seemed scared. Clara remembered the floating coin, the way it shimmered, the way it moved like it had a mind. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She sat on her bed, staring at the tiny glowing dust she had collected from the diner. She had put it in a glass jar. Now, it floated inside like a tiny galaxy. Suddenly, a soft knock came at her window. She jumped, heart racing. It was the girl, wet, tired, and scared. Clara ran over and opened the window. The girl climbed in, shivering. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know where else to go." Clara wrapped her in a blanket. "It's okay. You're safe now." The girl looked up at her with wide, glowing eyes. "They're coming," she said. "They know I'm here." "Who are they?" Clara asked. The girl hesitated. Then she reached into her coat and pulled out something small. Not the floating coin. Something else. A key, but it was like no key Clara had ever seen. It looked like crystal and metal melted together. It pulsed softly with light. "This is why they're chasing me," the girl said. "It opens something they shouldn't find." Clara stared at it. "What does it open?" The girl looked her dead in the eyes. "A ship." Clara's heart skipped a beat. "A ship?" The girl nodded. "But not just a ship. A hidden one. Buried. Old. From before the wars. Before Earth fell." Clara's mouth went dry. Who was this child? And what kind of ship needed a living key to open it? Then, they both heard it. A low, humming sound outside. Clara peeked through the blinds. 3 black hover cars. No lights, no sound. Just sitting there, waiting. The girl grabbed Clara's hand. "They're scanning for me. I have to leave." "No," Clara whispered. "You can't go out there. They'll catch you." The girl looked at her with those glowing eyes. "Then come with me." Clara didn't know why. Maybe it was the fear in the girl's voice. Maybe it was the mystery. But she nodded. She grabbed her coat. Together, they slipped out the back door into the shadows. The night air was cold. The girl held the crystal key tight in her hand. Clara looked at her and whispered, "What's your name?" The girl paused, then finally answered, "Nova." The night was cold and silent, except for the soft hum of search drones above. Clara held Nova's hand tightly as they crept through the back alleys of the dusty spaceport town. Every few seconds, Nova would stop, tilt her head, and listen. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Clara had never seen anything like it. "Where are we going?" she whispered. "To the old docks," Nova said. "There's something hidden there. We have to get to it before they do." They passed dark shops, locked metal doors, and blinking neon signs. In the distance, the sound of engines echoed, low, quiet, and watching. "They have scanners," Nova said. Don't speak. Don't run. Just move slowly. Clara nodded, trying to control her breathing. They ducked behind a pile of broken robot parts as a black drone hovered past, scanning with a red light. It paused, then moved on. Clara whispered, Nova, who are you? Nova looked down. I'm a code. Clara blinked. A code? I was made, not born, Nova said. But I'm not a machine. I feel things. I dream. That's why they want to erase me. Clara didn't understand all of it, but she knew one thing: Nova was in danger, and now so was she. After 30 minutes of sneaking through shadows and avoiding patrols, they reached the edge of the old spaceport docks. The place had been shut down for years. Rusted cargo ships sat like skeletons. Broken cranes leaned sideways. Wind howled through empty buildings. Nova led Clara to a large metal platform. It was covered in dust and vines. This is it, Nova said. She pulled the glowing crystal key from her coat. The moment she touched the platform's surface with it, the metal shimmered, like it was waking up. A circle lit up beneath their feet, and the ground began to sink slowly. Clara grabbed Nova's shoulder, panicked. It's okay, Nova said. It's an elevator, a hidden one. Below the platform was a dark underground hangar, and in the middle of it was a ship. It was unlike anything Clara had ever seen. Smooth silver skin, no markings, no engines, no windows, just quiet power. This ship doesn't fly with fuel, Nova said. It flies with thought. It was made to protect, but they want to use it to control. Clara stared. Why you? Because I'm the only one who can wake it up. They stepped toward the ship. Nova placed the key into a glowing slot near the base. The ship pulsed once, then slowly opened. Lights lit up inside. Panels moved. The ship seemed to breathe. Suddenly, boom! The roof above them shook. Clara looked up. Dust fell. A voice echoed through speakers above. We know you're in there. Come out with the girl. Nova grabbed Clara's hand. They found us. We don't have much time. The ship's ramp lowered. Clara hesitated. Nova, I can't fly a ship. Nova turned to her. You don't have to. The ship flies with me. I just need someone to protect me while I power it up. Clara nodded. They ran inside. Inside the ship, there were no buttons, only glowing walls and floating panels. Nova sat in the middle of the room and closed her eyes. The ship responded. Outside, soldiers in black armor dropped through the roof. Their weapons glowed red. Clara stood at the top of the ramp, holding a steel rod like a bat. Her hands shook, but she stood her ground. I don't want to hurt you, said one of the soldiers. Then leave, Clara said. She's a machine, he growled. A weapon. No, Clara said. She's a child. The ship suddenly shook, not from blasts, but from power. Light flowed through its surface. The engines, if they were engines, began to hum. Nova opened her eyes. They now glowed gold. It's waking up, she whispered, and it knows who I am. The soldiers fired, but the bullets didn't hit. They froze in the air, hovering, then melted into sparks. Nova stood, the air around her pulsing. I'm not running anymore, she said. This is my ship, my body, my code. Clara stepped back beside her. What now? Nova smiled. We fly. The ship lifted into the air like a whisper. No fire, no shaking, just a smooth hum, like wind wrapping around a mountain. Clara stood near the edge of the control room, holding on as the entire hangar below shrank into a shadow. Nova sat in the center of the room, glowing faintly. Her eyes were golden, her face calm. Outside, black security ships zoomed toward them. Unregistered launch detected. A voice crackled over the comms. Shut down your systems or be forced down. Clara panicked. What do we do? Nova didn't answer. She raised one hand, and the ship moved. Not with buttons, not with controls. It moved like a bird finding the wind. With a burst of silent energy, it shot upward. Clara screamed, but the ride was smooth. The stars opened up around them. Below, The planet shrank like a marble. But the enemy wasn't done yet. 4 black ships gave chase. Their engines flared blue. Missiles locked on. Nova closed her eyes. The ship twisted sideways, spun once, and vanished into a burst of light. Clara gasped. What just happened? We bent light. Nova said. The ship doesn't move through space. It bends it. Suddenly, they were above Saturn, its golden rings spinning below them. Clara pressed her face to a curved panel. It's beautiful. Then, buzz. The ship's warning lights flashed red. Nova's smile faded. They followed us. Clara looked at her. How? I thought we were faster. Nova nodded. We are. But they used a signal, something that pulls me back. You mean, like a trap? Nova's voice dropped to a whisper. A chain. One they'd buried in my code. Clara stepped closer. Can you break it? I can try, Nova said, but I'll need help. Not from the ship, from you. Me? Clara's eyes widened. I'm just a waitress. Nova smiled gently. No, you're someone who chose to care, and that's more powerful than you think. Nova took Clara's hand and placed it on a glowing panel. Clara's body tingled. Suddenly, memories filled the room. Nova's memories. Running through labs, locked doors, cold metal rooms, scientists yelling, her trying to speak, but no one listening. And then Clara, smiling, offering a warm pancake, saying nothing, just letting Nova feel safe. The light pulsing through the ship changed, calmer now, smoother. Nova's voice echoed, we are not machines. We are more. Outside, the black ships locked onto their location. Last warning, the voice said, surrender the unit, or we'll open fire. Nova stood, her glow turned white. No, she said. She raised both hands. And the ship answered. Wings of light spread across space. Energy danced through the void. The enemy ships fired. Missiles flew. But the ship didn't dodge. It absorbed the energy, shifted it, turned it back. Clara shielded her eyes as a wave of light burst out, disabling the enemy ships instantly. No explosions, just silence. The stars returned. The threats were gone. Clara stared at Nova. How did you do that? Nova looked older now, not in age, but in presence. I stopped hiding. She sat back down, weak now. Clara rushed to her side. Nova? I'm okay, Nova said softly. But they'll try again, and I can't keep running. Clara looked around the room. What if we don't run? Nova looked up. What if, Clara said slowly, we go to them first? Nova tilted her head. You want to fight? No, Clara said. I want to show the world who you are. Let them see the truth. Let them choose. Nova thought for a moment, then nodded. Yes, we fly home. Clara looked through the window. Earth glittered in the distance. And for the first time, it felt like Nova belonged there. Nova stood near the ship's glass window, her face calm, but her hands trembling. Clara walked over, holding 2 cups of warm tea. Nova smiled. This is the first time I've ever been free, but I'm still scared. Clara sat beside her. Being scared just means you're about to do something brave. Outside, their ship hovered high above the earth. Below, cities lit up like stars. But so did the alerts. Global defense systems had already detected them. Governments were panicking. She's just a girl, Clara said. Why are they so afraid? Nova looked down. Because they think I'm a weapon. Clara shook her head. No, you're proof that they were wrong. You're human. Nova was silent for a moment. Then she nodded. I want to speak to the world. Clara blinked. Like a broadcast? Nova turned to her. Yes, I want them to hear my voice. Not the lies others told. Mine. The ship's AI responded to Nova's voice and began to open communication lines, satellites, radio towers, every signal around Earth. One by one, screens around the world turned to static, then to light. In busy cities, offices stopped. In villages, radios crackled. On military bases, alarms fell silent. And then, A quiet voice spoke. This is Nova. People paused. I am not a machine. I was made in a lab, but I feel, I think, I remember. In diners, schools and homes, people leaned closer. For years, I was tested, locked away. I was told I was too dangerous to live free. But one woman fed me breakfast, not because I was important, but because I was hungry. Clara wiped her eyes. Nova continued. I don't want revenge. I want truth. I want peace. I want a home. The world was silent. In a hidden government lab, scientists stared at the screen in shock. In a control center, a general lowered his hand from the missile button. In a classroom, a young black girl whispered, "She sounds like me." Suddenly, the signal was cut. The ship shook. Nova staggered. Someone's jamming us. A sharp alarm blared. A new ship appeared. Not military, not human. Clara stared at it. That's not from Earth, is it? Nova's face turned pale. No, it's them. The ones who made the lab. The ones who created the tech. The ones Earth copied. Clara stood up. Aliens? Nova nodded. The architects. They never meant for Earth to have my code. They're here to erase it. The alien ship sent a message. Return the prototype, or be destroyed. Nova didn't move. Clara stepped forward. She's not a prototype. She's a person. The alien voice replied, that is not our concern. Nova gripped the edge of the console. Her body glowed brighter. Clara, I can run. But I don't want it anymore. Clara nodded. Then we faced them. Together. Suddenly, something amazing happened. The signal Nova sent out, her broadcast, spread. People on Earth began replying. Videos. Voice messages. Messages from children, mothers, workers, soldiers. All saying one thing. She belongs. Nova's ship absorbed the voices. The energy from Earth flowed into her like light. The alien ship hesitated. Nova stepped forward, glowing with the strength of millions. I will not go with you. The alien ship prepared weapons. But then, Earth's own defense systems turned. Ships from every nation moved to protect Nova's craft. The message was clear. She's one of us. The alien ship paused. And then, it vanished. No attack, no reply, just silence. Clara let out a deep breath. What just happened? Nova smiled faintly. The world chose. The diner was quiet again. Same dusty floor. Same Wadley fan spinning above. The smell of fresh pancakes filled the air. Clara wiped a table, her apron tied neatly, her eyes watching the door. Weeks had passed since Nova's voice echoed across Earth. The world had changed. People were still talking about her, about that glowing girl in the sky who stood up without lifting a weapon. But for Clara, it wasn't about the world. It was about the girl who came in every morning, hungry, shy, and alone. The bell above the door jingled. Clara turned. There she was. Nova, no longer in rags. She wore a simple hoodie and jeans, her hair tied up, her glow dimmed, just enough to walk among people. But her eyes, still deep, wise, and filled with quiet strength. Clara smiled. You came back. Nova sat at her usual spot, in the corner booth by the window. I had to. Clara poured her a glass of orange juice. The usual. Nova nodded. One pancake. Clara gave her a playful look. Still not ordering more, huh? Nova grinned. Old habits. Moments later, Clara returned with the plate. But this time, there were two pancakes. A tiny heart-shaped one sat on top of the other. Nova's eyes softened. Thank you. For everything. Clara sat across from her. You changed the world, you know. Nova shrugged. I didn't try to. That's exactly why it worked, Clara said. You weren't loud. You were honest. That's what people listen to. Nova took a bite, then looked outside. Across the street, kids pointed and waved at her. One held up a homemade sign. Nova is family. Nova chuckled. I still don't understand why everyone sees me as a hero. Clara leaned in. Because even when you could have fought, you spoke. Even when you were scared, you stood. Even when you were treated like nothing, you stayed kind. Nova looked down at her hands. They were made in a lab, Clara. I'm not even sure what I am. Clara reached out, gently held her hand. You're real. You feel. That's what matters. Just then, a sleek black car pulled up outside the diner. Not a normal car. A Rolls-Royce hovercraft. The exact same one Clara saw back when this all started. Nova's eyes narrowed. I know that ship. The door opened. A tall man in a dark coat stepped out. His face was aged but sharp. Familiar. He walked in slowly. Clara stood up, ready to protect Nova. But the man held up his hands. I come in peace. Nova stood. Dr. Harren? The man nodded. I designed the first AI cells. I never knew they used them to create you. Not until your voice reached me. Clara asked, why are you here now? Dr. Harren looked at Nova. Because I want to apologize and offer you something. Nova tilted her head. What? A home. A place to build your own future. A research center where you lead, where no one controls you, where others like you can come, if you choose. Nova hesitated. Clara whispered, it's your choice now. Nova looked around. The old diner, the window, the kids waving, the plate in front of her. She smiled. I'll go, but only if I can come back. Here, this place will always be home. Dr. Harren nodded. Of course. Clara wiped a tear. Don't forget us. Nova hugged her tightly. I'll never forget you, Clara. She walked out, paused by the door, then turned back and said, save me a pancake. I'll be back next Sunday. The bell jingled as she left. Clara stood for a moment, watching the ship rise into the sky, its engines glowing softly. A customer at the counter asked, was that really her? Clara smiled. She's just a girl who wanted breakfast. The diner door closed. The world moved on. But one thing was certain. The quiet girl with no name had become the loudest voice in the galaxy.